While this might look like 3 of the same printers up here, they're actually very different machines hitting very different price points. So I do think they are all for different people, and I wanted to go through and explain it because it is a little bit confusing since they look very similar. We've got the AD5X, the AD5M, and the AD5M Pro. Currently, they're at their lowest prices ever for Black Friday if you use my coupon code. The AD5X is $329, the AD5M is $209, and the AD5M Pro is $349. You do have to use my code JJ10 to save $10 off of the discounted price on their website. Now, a disclaimer, FlashForge has sent me all of these printers for free, and they are sponsoring this video. But I only agreed to make this video because I really like the AD5X, and it regularly gets use around here. I've got several printers around here over $1,000, but the AD5X still regularly gets use because it does some things that the other ones can't. So let's just dive right into some of the similarities and differences between these printers. Let's start with the cheapest printer in the lineup, the Adventurer 5M, or the AD5M. This is a pretty basic Core XY 3D printer. It's got a build volume of 220 millimeters in every dimension. Print quality wise, this is the one I don't have the most experience with. Very much in the acceptable quality range. Good, not great. Things can screw together correctly, multi-board parts all snap together as they're supposed to, but you will get minor surface defects like this, things that in the slicer I think just need to be tuned out. So while it is good quality, it's just not the best quality out there. It comes with a pretty basic print screen that's very similar between all of these printers. It's not a capacitive screen, it feels like a resistive screen, and there's a little bit of a delay between when you press things and when the screen pops up. It's another case of it's fine, it's just not the greatest thing ever. I do like how everything is laid out here. It's fairly logical and they put a lot of details and information on the screen, but it is still easy to get around and touch exactly the buttons that you're looking for. Here it has routines for loading and unloading filament because there isn't a filament cutter in here. That's where these settings are a little bit different than most printers. When you tell it to unload, let's say we want to unload PLA here, your next step is to pull out the Bowden tube here. You take some snips, snip it off there, pull out your spool, put your Bowden tube back in, load in new filament, so everything below where you cut off just gets passed straight through the nozzle. So you get a bit of purged filament here that comes out of the nozzle, and you throw this away. It is an open air 3D printer with a chassis very similar to the AD5X over here. A lot of the holes even line up. The ports are back here to load HEPA filters, but there are no HEPA filters currently, especially they're not necessary on an open air printer like this. It's also lacking a camera or any light bars. It's a pretty bare bone printer hitting a very cheap price point. The hot end and nozzle changing feature of this printer is one of the more unique parts of this printer. The front fan can be opened up to expose the insides like this, but that's not necessary for changing the nozzle like this. Don't do it while it's hot, let the nozzle cool down enough. To change nozzles on this printer, you're really changing the entire cartridge. This has the heater, the thermistor, the heat break, the cold zone, the hot zone, the nozzle, everything all in one here. To do that, you grab onto the nozzle, press these 2 buttons on the left and right, give it a little wiggle, and pull straight down. It's a bit warm, so I wasn't holding super well. Now this nozzle came out. On the back, it has these 4 pins. That's how it gets the power and data to this nozzle. To install, push the 2 levers, make sure to line it up. That is the easiest nozzle change on any 3D printer. It does mean that the nozzles are a little bit more expensive and you are locked into these proprietary nozzles, but they're not that much more expensive and it's so easy to change. Now the Adventurer 5M Pro. This is very similar to the Adventurer 5M, just with all the little upgrades added. And it has a feature that most printers don't have, a real power button on the front. It has a power switch on the back, same as all the other ones, but this one just has an extra on-off switch to the front. As you can see here, very similar menu with a few things added. Things like adding a light switch for turning on the internal light. It's got this little symbol down here to let you know if the VOCs are good or bad. But all these routines like loading or changing filaments are the exact same on this machine as it is on the other ones. But it does add a few extra features here for the filtration or the camera. With the same build volume of 220 millimeters in every dimension, this one does have a plastic front door and a plastic front top cover. To improve cooling inside of this chamber, it has a large side-mounted fan here. It has the HEPA filters installed in the back here. This way it can filter out nasty fumes from filaments like ABS. It's got an internal camera in the front here. It's got a VOC monitor in the back and a light bar mounted right inside so you can still see the prints even when you have the doors closed. The overall build quality here is very plastic. These covers are very plasticky. Everything is plastic. There's no metal on the external chassis, but it's also coming in at a very budget price point for an enclosed ABS Core XY printer. It feels like a $350 machine. If you want to print ABS or ASA, this is the way to go. Now onto their multicolor option, the AD5X. This mounts 4 spools onto the side of the printer and can fully print in 4 colors. This gray box is what they call the IFS. All of the filaments feed in through here and go up to the nozzle. A huge benefit here is that changing filament is now extremely easy. I don't have to tell it to unload any filaments. I can just pull a filament off, slide it out, and that's how you change filament. If I wanted to load filament, simply slide it on here, put it up in here, and then it will pull it partially in the Bowden tube closer to the nozzle over here. After you've changed the filament, you can go in here and tell it what you've just loaded. This was slot number 1, hit the pencil icon. We've loaded in a PETG, but here's the lineup of different options you can tell it. PLA, even silk PLA, TPU. It says ABS, but this printer isn't enclosed, so I wouldn't print ABS on. So you're not gonna get good ABS prints off of here. It does print PETG really well, PLA carbon fiber, or even PETG carbon fiber. PETG, then you can select what color. I'll just guess at one. And now the filament is loaded in here. So now the slicer will know what filaments you have loaded in the slots. The menu here you can see is very similar to all of the other ones. Different picture on the front here, and a few different features. It's missing the light switch and some of the camera options that are on the AD5M Pro. It's also missing some of the loading and unloading features since this printer doesn't need those. It does have a manual load and unload feature over here. I've only needed to use those like twice when there's some sort of error for some reason and there's filament still in the nozzle. So then you can manually do that. It'll heat up the nozzle and remove it. One benefit to the AD5X is that all the internal fans turn off when the printer's not in use. So I will just leave this one on when I'm not using it. I don't know if you can hear that, but both the AD5M and the AD5M Pro both leave a fan on. Even when the printers are not printing at all, there will be a fan noise running. So to make them silent, you have to fully turn these printers off. Even though this hot end looks the same, it's actually quite different from the other machines. This front cover comes off and the fan is connected by these pogo pegs up here. So this fully disconnects without having a cable attached. Here you can see the filament cutter is over on the side. Changing the nozzle here is similar to how the Bamboo A1 has it. First, remove the silicone sock on the bottom here. Then we've got this little retaining clip. Pull it from the left. Then open up the heatsink here. And this is the entire nozzle. So this is really all you're changing when you're changing the nozzle on this printer. It's really simple to do. Slide it up in there just enough. Put the heatsink back on, clip the metal piece in place, then you put the silicone sock right back on. Super simple. This makes changing nozzles such a breeze. If you are the type of person who changes nozzles fairly often, luckily all of these printers are so easy to do. It is a different system from the AD5M, and I would say a slightly slower system, but still very easy and way simpler than most other printers. Now for my 2 favorite features about this machine. First off is TPU printing. This is regular high flexibility TPU, feeds straight into the machine. Here, I'll unload it. You load it just the same as you would load PLA. You do have to feed it up there a little bit to make sure the gears engage. This is the easiest machine to load TPU. All of my Bamboo Lab or Creality printers that do awesome multicolor printing, you have to manually change filaments. With this one, you simply load it in the same as you would with every other filament type. I recently printed this Cyberbrick remote control forklift, and these treads needed to be printed in TPU. So of course I just sent it over to this machine because it prints TPU really well. It's an awesome print. I mainly use it because of the simplicity of using TPU on this machine. A downside to mounting the spools on the side here is that they are going to be absorbing moisture. I probably should be printing out of a dry box, but it would be really easy to set a dry box on the table right next to this printer and have the filament just sitting in that, feeding straight out and up through this tube. So after a print has successfully finished, pop it off the build plate, take off the front purge line, and then you get two options. There's OK, which cancels it out and takes you to the main menu, or Continue, and it immediately starts reprinting the exact same print using the exact same filament. This could be really great for something like a print farm, or just in general. There are times when I want a lot of these bins printed, for example. This is the printer I would go to just batch process a lot of prints. Here's the demonstration of why I don't do multicolor 3D printing on this machine. This was a test print that came on the machine. It's an Orca cube printed in 2 colors, and it looks great and fits well together. The bottom screws and unscrews correctly. But this is how much waste it produced to make one single cube. Since it needs to purge out this much filament with every single layer, on a print like this, you get just a lot of wasted filament in the end. So because of all of this filament waste, I don't do very many full multicolored 3D prints like this. If you are looking for full multicolor printing like this, some sort of tool changer like the Snapmaker U1 will be a lot faster and more efficient. But a printer like this is really good at layer change type transitions. This is a simple camera lens cap printed in 2 colors, the base color, and then it changed filament for the top few layers to add the number on there. It produces one single poop during that transition, and you're able to make really cool prints like this. And there are so many other awesome examples of multicolor printing where it's really just layer changing, but you're automating that so you don't have to manually swap filaments. So this is an awesome way of printing on these multicolor printers. So hopefully now you have a better understanding of the lineup here. These two look the most similar, but actually these two are the ones that are the most similar. And then they're both hitting the very different price points. This one being the cheapest and this one actually being the most expensive one here. So if you're looking for the cheapest way into 3D printing, maybe the Adventurer 5M. But if you're looking for an enclosed Core XY printer for printing ABS, then the Adventurer 5M Pro might be a good option. It is a bit on the expensive side when these are so cheap. I think the upgraded enclosure here is really only useful if you need to print high temperature ABS or ASA. I do actually have the enclosure kit already for the 85X, and I've printed all the parts for it. But I printed them in PETG because this printer can only print PETG normally. And so I don't think this enclosure is going to be able to make this printer print good ABS because these will start deforming at those temperatures. I will have to do some testing to see what I can do with that enclosure and how hot I can get the chamber. But in general, unless you have a different printer that can print an ABS enclosure for these machines, I don't think it's going to be that great of an ABS printing machine. So my question is, do you really need ABS printing? It's a lot more money for that one feature. These do make great PLA and PETG machines, and you can put an enclosure on there if you want to keep the dust off. That's the main reason I want to put an enclosure on the AD5X. I've got 2 dogs and 2 cats, and so there's a lot of dust that land on these machines. And the AD5X is currently the cheapest multicolor printer in this size. The Bamboo A1 Mini Combo is currently cheaper than this printer, but that one is also a bit smaller and you have a separate AMS system. This one, it is really nice that the spools are mounted directly onto the chassis here. And with the ability to print TPU and the ability to just press continue and keep continuously printing the same file over and over, that's why most of the multi-board wall back here was printed on this machine, because it's so easy to just pull the part off, press continue, and walk away. So I hope this video has explained and clarified some of the differences between these printers. It's really confusing online because they look so similar and their names are also very similar. And if you want to see more details of things I've printed on these machines, be sure to hit that subscribe button. I've made a lot of shorts covering these machines in more detail of things that I've specifically made. Well, that just about wraps it up. I will have those affiliate links and coupon codes in the description down below if you are thinking about buying one of these machines this holiday season. Let me know if you have any more questions, and as always, go out there and create something amazing today, and I'll see you in the next video.